So they did a little bit of what I was hoping that they would do from the last episode, and that was showing Rocky's point of perspective of her survival inside of the labyrinth for, an entire month. But it was so short though. And really like it was very a fast blink of an eye or so you could say. And if this is the best we got, this I guess is what we have to take. I was hoping it would be the Norm's POV, where she had her perspective of what she was going through. They didn't do everything, but they did just enough for us to completely understand her. Roxy's was more of people want to see her struggle and survive within the labyrinth, seeing how she got into that state, of doing terrible things, of what she had to eat, and her learning to conserve her mana and stamina, and even what to where to go, and she's slowly losing her mind because the labyrinth will send her to different places, but she'll always end up back where she will begin in the first place. So it's imagine going through all these different routes only to go back to the same place. That's like playing an RPG and you have fast travel and you discover a new place, and even though you're done that place and you want to walk back, you can just go back to your home base or your camp. And that's very convenient, for your side. But for someone who's trying to escape, not so much. So it was she's just gonna die in this spot and nothing else. So it was just driving her mad and stuff. So here comes Rudius. And remember from season 1, her fantasy for romance is that one day someone will rescue her from a labyrinth and they will travel in that labyrinth together and escape and have a forming bond of love. That was Rocky's dream, what she wants to do to fall in love and stuff. So this bitch been putting out, been holding off for a long time. I want to say, is just waiting, for that kind of thing, not facing her reality whatsoever. But I guess you wait long enough, dreams come true. That's exactly what happened. Not the way she was hoping it would, but I can't think of any other way. Because remember, she's really good at labyrinths, so that's why it seems to be impossible for that to happen to her, because she's good at what she does. So it had to take to be one of the most dangerous labyrinths in that world in order for her to have her dream come true. And here comes Rudius. And I'm sorry, I everyone, I'm not trying to defend Rudius, because we all know the kind of person Rudius is. And we like him because he's a character that a lot of writers in this era of writing fantasy are too afraid to write. So we're not shocked by that. No, it's just that his character sometimes I can see why people don't like his character. Anyway, he hugs Rise, he's just sniffing her and stuff, and then she forgets who he is, and he throws up. He throws up, and this makes Roxy feels very insecure. She thought that he threw up because he smelled her, and he just couldn't stand the smell and vomited. But that's not the point. He did because he was just she forgot who he was, and that makes a lot of sense. Think about it. She only seen you for 2 years, and you were like a toddler. And now years have passed. More than 10 years, to be a fact, I believe. And now you're pretty much an adult in that world. So, of course, they're going to not recognize you, come on, man. What were you expecting? I guess he wasn't thinking about those reality checks, I guess. Either way, the two finally met after so long. Yes, after so long. It took from the beginning of the series to near end of season 2 for these two to finally meet. And to be honest with you, these two could have met in the half point of season 1. But stuff happens, man. Stuff happens. And now they're finally here, and Roxy, in a way, kind of have a crush on him. As you can clearly see, where he looks at her, she looks so nervous, and the dude does make her nervous because he's constantly being around her all the time because he sees her as a goddess, worthy of praise. And I've said plenty of times on this channel that I think Roxy is a very, very overrated character in the story. I can see why people do enjoy her in a way, but Selfie to me is the better choice. But whatever. Okay, that ship has sailed. Well, anyways, she is having hopes, even when she heard about Nanahoshi, believing that Rudius is single. But he didn't mention his wife at all. Not at all. Not because he did it intentionally. It's unintentionally. It's his mind's on other things, unfortunately. So Roxy thinks she had a chance in this matter. So it's like, oh dear we're doing this, man. We're doing this. I didn't think trying to break her heart just yet. I think it's good for now. You don't want to break the girl's heart just yet, man. That would suck. Now, the labyrinth. I believe I haven't seen a realistic form of a dungeon party since Goblin Slayer and Grimoire of Phantom and Ash. Usually you watch these other kind of fancy like anime and they form parties is so, to the point, unrealistic, and not much development or attention to detail on what parties do when they're doing their quest and stuff. But this one was just right. It was well detailed, like Goblin Slayer and Phantom Grimoire and Ash, in a way. They were showing what they did. They had maintenance their weapons, plan things out. They didn't just go rushing in. Things were always funny. They had their funny moments, like where Rudy was impressed with Paul, and Paul was pretending that, man, I actually think I got weaker, and then you see this big old goofy grin on him, and Lena Lays is just laughing her butt off, like, my goodness, this dude. And you see these kind of moments, in a way, and they're trying to solve puzzles and ways to get in and out. They're not just staying in a dungeon. Like, most of the times when you see things, well, I guess, Is the Wrong Pickup Girls in Dungeon also does a good detail of dungeon raiding in a way where they're not just there constantly. They go in and out of the dungeon. They'll just go in one go and that's it. They stay in a place. They recuperate. They plan things out and then they go back into the dungeon and come back out and go back in until they get what they need out of that dungeon. It's very realistic compared to most of the isekais and fantasy animes where they just go in one time, one episode, and that is it, man. It's like, geez, man. And usually the characters overpowered. They can pretty much go in there by themselves and stuff, which, in my opinion, it kind of, defames a dungeon, in my opinion. Because dungeons are supposed to be just not about how powerful you are, but how lucky you are, how smart you are, how much endurance you got. That's what dungeons are. They tests everything about you, your physical traits, your mental traits, your anything, even your spiritual traits. Dungeons can challenge. That's supposed to be what the dungeon is. You guys really played the Darkest Dungeon, really good. But anyways, this right here was pretty much good teamwork. Even Roxy and herself. And speaking of Roxy, there's this thing that how they handle trauma. To them, trauma is like a curse. In a way, you go through a very terrible experience and you hold off from doing that experience for a good while, your body or your mind doesn't want to go back to that experience again if you hold it off for too long, to the point it becomes trauma. To them, how they deal with trauma, which they call curses they actually make them go through it as soon as possible. There's terrible things happen to you, but we gotta make sure you can't be scared of this thing. So we'll give you a brief breather, but after that, you gotta go immediately back in. You gotta do it again. So or a terrible experience happening with a dog a while ago. They'll quickly make you go around other dogs immediately, so that fear of dogs won't happen to you and stuff. And actually, I know people back in my hometown who actually did this method. They knew someone going through something like they win and said they'll make them go through it and stuff. Like a person with the dogs, like I was explaining, um, it took me a while to get over my fear of dogs. I was attacked by a dog before, so and I hold off from being around them, and it took for too long to the point where I didn't want to be around any dog, even a little one. It took me a while to get back into it, and then I knew uncle of mine knew someone who just had a terrible experience with dogs, and later on they put him around some good dogs and stuff immediately, not like the same day, but later on, so they can be used to it again and stuff. And show them what to do with dogs. Don't just run, don't look them directly in the eye, those kind of things. And so that's how they handle trauma in this place. They don't even call the word trauma. Trauma probably doesn't exist in the vocabulary in this world. They call it a curse. Makes sense, I guess. So, anyways, back inside the labyrinth, you know, they have at the final area, but they don't know where else to go. It seems to be a dead end. But Paul gives Rudy some advice: is not to think things by yourself. And he's used a very interesting analogy. I used to carry one sword, but now I'm used to having two swords. Each sword has its own purpose. And now I can't imagine myself never having two swords again. And he was looking at Roxy and like, really, Paul? You gotta get your son to do polygamy? I guess Rudy just doesn't know that um that that Roxy probably had a crush on him because Roxy's older than him, and plus he sees Roxy as a master, a teacher, and something. So I believe he didn't think she would be interested in him like that. It's different between Eris and Selphie in a way. Selphie was a nice friendship that he was hoping to bloom to a romance. Eris is something that was put upon him, but the two did knew they had feelings for each other as they went on their adventure, so they weren't being oblivious about it. The Roxy, of course, is a very reasonable way, but Rudius wouldn't realize that because things were just different between them. They didn't see each other like that, but now things happen, I guess, over time, I guess. So, anyways, so Paul just threw that out there, like, I got two swords now. See, doesn't Paul look cool in this part, man? Doesn't he look cool with his two swords and this cool outfit? Now imagine we had a figurine of Paul, a statue of Paul. We don't got no statue of Paul. Instead, we keep getting Roxy figurines, man. Let me great. Roxy's a cool character, but why is it only just her? We need figurines of other characters, man. We only got a couple of Eris figurines. We only got like two Selphie figurines, but we don't got no really good Selphie figurine, man. One of her modern time. At least her looking like Silent Fist. Something. Anything. We don't got it. All we can hope is for China to do something for it now. Because China's the one that will do it anyways compared to others. Heck, I have to go to XC in a way to find someone to make one for me. I don't know. But anyways, Rudius had a callback in that room. And the room felt like when he was going through one of the teleportation circles made by Oyster. And he realized there had to be a hidden passageway somewhere around here. And Gisu, being a scout with his professional skills, he was able to find it. I think people really don't pay too much attention to the scout. The scout is very helpful, finding your way around, gathering intel, giving out tips, giving out some support. People really don't talk much about how cool the scout is, you're not in the front lines. You're just a dude that sneaks around, and you have some comeback skills. Not best as everyone else's, but it's just enough to keep you alive and, gather up handy items, man. You're the smart guy of the group, and it sucks. But anyways, they discovered a hidden passageway that leads to a purple, pinkish circle. So this is it, people. This is the boss realm. Here we go. This is gonna be interesting. See how it goes, man. It's gonna be an epic fight. I kind of don't like that it kind of showed the final boss of the labyrinth in a way. The opening did spoil the boss. Nothing's really special about the boss. Most of the time in these animes, when it comes to dungeon bosses, they always have a multiple-headed dragon or a serpent or something every single time, man. Like it's common knowledge when it comes to these anime dungeon bosses. There always gotta be a multi-headed dragon or something all the time. It's so predictable. But either way, here we are. So that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, of course, hit that bell icon. This has been Madcrownxox, all anime. Signing out.